Good morning, or good afternoon, or good night, whenever you're doing this. So today I'm going to be demonstrating some exercises that are all related to keeping your hips balanced. So research has proven that a lot of lower back pain is due to lack of balance, strength, and flexibility through the hip joint. So really important that we keep all the mobility there and that we create a nice balance through the hip joint, okay? And that we're able to move it independently of the spine as well, okay? So we're gonna be working on that today. So we're just gonna start supine, so laying on the mat, and we're gonna be using a ball for all of these exercises, okay? So hopefully you have one of these at home. This is just like a 6-inch stability ball. You can get them pretty much anywhere. Like a small beach ball or a ball that you play with in the pool, or yeah. So you can also get one at my studio, okay, at the Green Room Pilates in Oceanside. So here we go. So I'm going to lay down on the mat here. I'm just going to put the ball between my knees for now. I'm also going to be using a small cushion behind my head. This is actually just a towel, and this is just going to help me to keep my head in alignment with my spine, okay? So my body's feeling nice and relaxed here. I have all the natural curves of my spine. So it's really important that when we're working with movement, that we understand what a neutral position of our spine is, okay? So this is really the basis of a lot of our exercises. It's the best place to access your deep core muscles, okay? And it helps you to create a more efficient movement pattern. So it is really important that you understand what it is. So, here when I'm laying on the mat, or even if I'm standing, kneeling, side lying, my hip bones and my pubic bone, they should lay in approximately the same plane, okay, or meaning the same line. So here I'm laying horizontally, so they should be in the same line horizontally with each other, okay, approximately. And then we have like a natural curve in the spine. And my lowest ribs are down on the mat. So this tells me that my rib cage is right over my pelvis, okay? So that's really important to help determine if you're in a neutral position. Because when we talk about neutral, through the spine, we're talking about the lower spine, so your lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, which is your upper spine, and your cervical spine, which is your neck, okay? And we also want to ensure that the head is just sitting right up on top of the neck, that you're not in extension or that you're in too much flexion, okay? So just looking straight up at the ceiling here. Okay, so we're just gonna rock the pelvis forward and back. So we're gonna start with some pelvic rocking, okay? So we're gonna hold here, inhale, find that neutral position. Then we're gonna rock the pelvis back into a posterior pelvic tilt. So here my pubic bone is higher than my hip bones. Okay, and then we're going to take it the other way into an anterior pelvic tilt. So I'm dropping my pubic bone down towards the mat here. Okay, so here I'm just facilitating some movement through my lower spine and my pelvis. Okay, and I'm really just exploring my range of motion. Okay, so we're just looking, do I have any pulling or tugging on my back or even in the front? You want to really work within a nice pain-free range of motion. You may not have a whole lot of movement, and that's okay too. Our lower spine really shouldn't be super, super hypermobile. We want most of our mobility in our upper spine, so between your rib cage. That's where we want a lot of the mobility, okay? So I'm just gonna anchor my pelvis back someplace in between those 2 points, so we're in a neutral position. And I'm gonna take the ball, and I'm gonna start with our first exercise, which is just a leg slide. So I'm gonna put the ball right underneath my right foot. My hands are just right down by my side for support. I want to make sure though that I'm staying neutral through my spine. Okay, so I'm going to start with a nice big inhale into my rib cage, and I'm going to send that ball away. Right, so I'm just stretching that leg out down the mat. I have just gentle pressure on the ball, and then I'm just going to reach it back in again. Okay, and I'm going to inhale and send that ball away. So I'm pressing down into the ball to activate my posterior chain, so my glutes. And then I'm going to exhale to bring it back in. Okay, so let's just do a couple more like that. So just really warming up those muscles surrounding the hips here. And I'm reaching away and then bringing it in. Okay, so with that same leg, I'm going to do a hip release. Okay, so I've got a little bit of pressure on that ball. I'm gonna inhale, let my knee fall out to the side. Now I'm gonna do this and I don't want my pelvis coming with me here. I just want my hip going out to the side. I'm keeping my other leg just pointing straight up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna send that leg down the mat, turn it in, and then drag it up. I'm just gonna do 2 more like that. So I'm gonna let that hip release by sending the knee out to the side. I'm gonna stretch it down the mat, turn it in, and drag it up. So what's not changing here, just 1 more, is my spine. I'm just making sure my spine is staying very neutral, okay? I'm gonna do the other leg. So I'm just shimmying that ball over to the left. I'm gonna hold here, inhale, send that leg down the mat, and I'm pressing into the ball. And then exhale to pull it in, okay? And I'm dorsiflexing my foot here, but you don't have to. You can keep it plantar flexed if that feels good for you. And again, so just 2 more like that. So I'm inhale, sending it away, and I'm pressing into the ball. Right? That's just to help turn on the back, right? And then bring it up right here. Now I'm gonna do a hip release. So I'm keeping my spine neutral. If it's comfortable or easier for you to put your hands on your pelvis to help to make sure you're not moving, that's awesome. So let's take that knee out to the side here. So we're inhaling, exhale, send the leg down the mat, turn it in, right? So that's called medial rotation, and then we drag it up. And again, so I'm gonna send my leg out to the side, stretch it down the mat, turn it in, and drag it up. And I'm gonna do 2 more like that. So I'm not letting my pelvis move with me as I'm sending my leg away, right? So I'm training my body to be able to move independently. So my hips can move independently of my pelvis if I want it to, okay? And just last one right here, and drag it up. All right. So there's a little warm up for the hips. We're gonna stay on our back for a little bit longer. We're gonna do a 1-leg circle with the ball underneath the right knee. So both knees right now are bent. My feet are flat on the mat. I'm in a neutral position with my spine, okay? So I'm gonna inhale, exhale, I'm gonna lift my right leg up to a tabletop position, and I'm gonna place the ball behind my knee, and I'm going to engage my hamstrings, right, and my calves to press into that ball. Okay, so what this does is it helps kind of deactivate the hip flexors, right? So they don't dominate this movement. So here my hands are right down by the side, my pelvis is level, so I'm having a look. I'm like, am I hiked up on one side? I wanna make sure that I'm not here. My pubic bone, hip bones are in the same line. My femur or my thigh bone is vertical, okay? So here I'm gonna cross the midline of my body as I inhale, and then I'm gonna exhale, take it around. So I'm just doing a 1-leg circle here, or 5 in each direction. So I'm gonna inhale, cross the midline, exhale, take it around. And again, so inhaling and exhaling. So this is involving a lot of the mobilities of the hip joint. So I'm doing adduction, and then I'm doing a little bit of extension. Then I'm doing abduction, so out to the side, and then hip flexion. Okay, but we are working with a flexed hip. Last one here, okay? We're gonna take it the other direction. So inhale away from the body, exhale, we cross the midline and bring it in. Right, so the intention here is to teach the hip how to move without moving the spine here. Okay, so that's the intention of this exercise, right? We're using the ball just to help recruit those hamstrings to kind of stay out of those hip flexors a little bit. Last one right here. All right, so I'm gonna take that ball away. I'm gonna switch legs. So my left leg comes up to tabletop. I'm placing the ball in between the knee there. And I'm gonna start with inhaling, crossing the midline, exhale, I'm gonna go out to the side. Okay, so I'm only making the circle as big as I can maintain my pelvis and my lower spine in a neutral position, okay? And there's 3, and we're gonna do 2 more like that. Inhale and exhale. And yep, so I'm sensing and I'm feeling whether or not I'm moving through my spine. And I don't feel as though I am. We're gonna take it the other way. So I'm gonna go away, right? Cross the midline and bring it in. So it doesn't have to be a huge movement, right? But we wanna hit all those points. You wanna take it out to the side, you wanna go down, you wanna bring it in again, and then you wanna come back up. Okay, let's do 1 more like that. Upper body stays relaxed. Inhale and exhale. Awesome, so we're gonna put that leg down right here like that, okay? So let's sit up here. Let's see what else I have on my list. So we're gonna do what we call a heel squeeze prone. Okay, so research says that with this exercise, it's one of the best ways to, if you have dominant hip flexors, to turn them off. Okay, so a couple of ways that you can do this. You can just put the ball between your ankles, right, when you're sideline, and then flip over into the prone position. Okay, or you can put the ball between your feet when you're laying prone. Okay, so it's really whatever's the most comfortable for you. So my ankles are dorsiflexed and my knees are about a 90-degree angle. So I'm not pulling my heels towards my seat like that, okay? So what's important here is that I keep my pelvis and my spine in a neutral position. So I'm gonna have to put my head down. My arms are gonna come down by the side here like so. And I wanna make sure my hips and my pubic bone are pressing down against the mat here. Okay, so I'm trying to avoid tensing up my lumbar spine. I really want my glutes and my hamstrings to be doing this. So my knees are just about shoulder distance apart. They're not super, super wide here. My ankles are dorsiflexed and I'm pretty much ready to go right here. So I'm gonna take an inhale. Exhale, I'm gonna squeeze into that ball and engage my glutes. And then inhale, I'm just gonna release, okay? And again, exhale, I'm gonna press and squeeze into that ball. And while I do this, I'm making sure I'm not lifting my hips or my pubic bone. And I'm gonna inhale slowly to release, okay? I'm gonna bring my head back down to the mat. I'm gonna do 4 more like that. So squeezing into the ball. And inhale, I release. And again, I'm gonna squeeze and hold. Inhale, I release. 2 more like that. So I'm keeping my upper body very tension-free. Actually gonna place my hands under my forehead because that helps me to stay more neutral. Inhale to release, and 1 more like that. Squeezing into the ball, pressing my hips down into the mat, and then I release. All right, and there's our heel squeeze prone. Okay, so the next exercise we're gonna do is a 4-point kneeling exercise, okay? So one of the things that I think is really important, and the whole kind of community in terms of movement, is to be doing lots of these challenges to the spine in different positions, okay? So what we're gonna do is go on the hands and knees here. And again, so we're gonna take that ball and put it between the right knee, okay, in the back. And I'm pulling my knee towards my seat just to anchor that ball in there. So you're gonna feel your hamstrings contract there. Now I'm gonna find my neutral position through my spine. I'm just gonna do a little bit of breathing here. So I'm gonna inhale. Feel my rib cage expand, relax my shoulders, and exhale. So here I want my elbows nice and straight, but I don't want them hyperextended, okay? So again, so I'm gonna inhale here, and I'm gonna exhale. So without moving through my spine here, what I'm gonna do is lift my leg, right? So I'm keeping my spine very neutral here. We're gonna lift and lower. So here we're gonna lower, so we're gonna inhale, lower the knee down towards the mat, and exhale and lift. Okay, so pelvis is not moving here, so we're not doing this sort of thing, right? You're just isolating the movement at your hip joint. Okay, we're just gonna do 2 more. I'm making sure I'm not dropping my head. I'm not shifting my weight into that left knee, okay? So I want you to really make sure that you're staying very balanced and very neutral. 1 more time here. And just take a mini break here, okay? So really important, and that's really the intention with this exercise, is when you're in that 4-point kneeling, so I'll show you maybe from this side here, right? So what tends to happen is when we lift this leg, we shift like so, okay? So I want you to try really hard not to do that, okay? So it's just a matter of just making sure the knee and the hip stays in line with each other, okay? So we're gonna go back, we're gonna work with that same knee, okay? So that ball goes right between the knee again, get into that 4-point kneeling position. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the knee out to the side, okay? And then bring it back in again. So trying, again, not to shift all my weight into that hip and take it over to the side here, okay? So here we go again. We're gonna lift that knee out to the side and then bring it in. So my knee and my foot stay in alignment with each other. I'm just reaching that knee out to the side here. And just a couple more. This is working your abductors of your hips. So taking your hip out, your leg out to the side. And then we bring it down. Take a mini break. And then we're going to come back right here. Lift that leg into extension. The knee's pointing down towards the mat. Have a look. Make sure your knee and your hip are in line with each other. When you know it is, we're just going to turn that knee out to the side and then bring it back down. Knee points down towards the floor. Knee points out towards the side. All right? We're going to do 3 more like that. And 3. And 2. And just 1 more like so. Whew. All right. So we got so many of those mobilities. We had extension, abduction, and lateral or external rotation of the hip joint, okay? Really creating a nice balance there. So we're gonna do the other leg. I'm gonna turn to the other side. Again, finding your neutral position. So it's the same position when you're on your mat, right? So here you wanna make sure your hip bones and your pubic bone, that they're lying in the same plane. You have a natural curve in your back, right? And then your upper spine curves this way, just a little tiny bit like that. And then your neck curves the opposite way. Okay, that's what we look for with neutral. Head follows the line of the spine. My weight is even on my arms here. I'm not hyperextending my elbows. I'm pulling my abs nice and tight. Inhale, exhale. I'm gonna scoop that knee out from the mat and lift up. So we're just gonna lift and lower. See, I'm checking out my knee and my hip here. I'm gonna inhale, lower my knee, exhale, and lift. So I'm only going as high as I can keep my pelvis in neutral. So I'm not dipping down here like that. So the intention isn't to get that knee up as high as you can. So if you can only lift it a few inches, that's amazing, okay? And we're just gonna do 2 more here. Inhale. As we come down, exhale to lift. Right? And then just taking a mini break here. Inhale, exhale, coming right back down. So squeezing into that ball, we're gonna lift it out to the side for abduction. Okay, so abducting that hip, taking the knee out to the side. We're gonna do 5, and this is 3. So I'm making sure my pelvis isn't rotating. My knee and my hip are in line with each other. We have 1 more here. Exhale and inhale. There was the abduction. Okay, now we have external rotation. So inhale here, exhale, go into extension first. Now we're gonna turn that knee out to the side and then bring it in. And exhale. So I really feel those muscles of my hip joint creating this movement rather than my back. And I'm just gonna do 2 more like that. 2 and 1 more. Exhale here. Right, and then we bring that knee right back down, okay? Almost done. So we're gonna do a little bit of bouncing. Okay, so bouncing is really healthy for your fascial system. Okay, it helps to keep it healthy and hydrated. It promotes slide and glide, so good, efficient movement, okay? So what you're gonna do is just take the ball, put it underneath your right leg, and just lean back onto your arms. So you're sitting back, go to a nice neutral position with your spine. You can also work in a little bit of an imprint like so, okay? I'm pushing away from the mat with my arms. I'm just looking straight ahead. I'm pointing my toe, my leg is straight. I'm gonna start with just a little bit of bouncing. Doesn't have to be big, right? I just wanna bounce for about 30 seconds here. This is a really great way to stimulate, right? Your fascia system, your hip joint. Okay, so a good healthy hip can keep a bounce for about 30 seconds without stopping, okay? So if you can't do it, just keep practicing. You'll be able to do it eventually. There we go, all right? So I'm gonna turn my leg out to the side. So I'm not bringing it to the side. What I'm doing is turning my knee out to the side. So this is a lateral rotation. I'm gonna do the same thing. So I just start sparking up that bounce, just really small. I'm pushing down into the ball and letting my leg float up. But I have to have muscle integrity in order to do that, right? You have to be nice and strong through your entire leg and hip, right? Because this is coming from the hip joint, this movement, right? And you gotta keep your abs and your core engaged, otherwise you're not gonna get a good spark. And that's done, that's that. Now I'm gonna try to turn in This is gonna be a little bit more challenging. So I'm doing a little bit of medial rotation and I'm gonna start that spark up. Yeah, feels a little funky. So I'm pushing away from the mat here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, okay? So definitely might feel different from one rotation to the next, okay? Probably the medial is gonna feel a little bit different. So parallel the first one, so we're doing the other leg. My knees pointing straight up at the ceiling. My quads are engaged, keeping my knees straight. I'm in neutral, but you can also be in imprint too, okay? You'd be in imprint if you're having a hard time stabilizing your spine, okay? So here we go. We're gonna just bounce that leg. So I'm keeping my knees straight and I'm just creating a really nice bounce and flow, okay? This is how runners are able to run for a long time. They create a really nice kind of a little bounce that helps to give momentum, right, to their gait. And there's 30 seconds. So here we're gonna turn that ball out to the side. So if you're having a problem getting that ball, keeping it underneath, you can hold onto it with your other toe, like so, okay? So my knees turned out to the side here, right? And we're gonna do that bounce. Yep, spark it up. So I'm trying to maintain that same rotation. Feels kind of good, right? It's a nice way to kind of wake up. I'm gonna hang on to that ball for the last 10 seconds here. It's actually a little bit harder to keep that bounce when I'm holding that ball with my other foot. And yeah, so and then turn in. So I know for me that this hip is not as balanced as my other hip. So I'm noticing that it's harder to keep up that bounce, keep that momentum going. So I know that's something I really want to work on, okay, with this leg. So I'm going to do that every day. Yeah. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So I'm going to end this hip series with a stretch of the hip joint, okay? The front of the hip. So no need for the ball anymore. I'm going to adjust this so that you can see my face too. There we go. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so let's start with that left leg forward here, okay? So I want the hips as square as possible, but don't feel like you can't turn out a little bit, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is in this lunge position, I wanna make sure that my knee, my hip joint, right? My rib cage and my shoulders are in line with each other. So I'm gauging my glutes, right? And I'm trying to find that nice vertical line there through my spine, okay? Now I'm gonna bend this front knee here. So see, I'm shimmying my foot out a little bit so that my knee doesn't come too far over my toes there. It's actually not getting far at all. So really a 15 degrees of extension is normal, okay? That's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna take it to about 15 degrees. Not everyone can, and that's okay. Just take it as far as you can, but we don't want the spine moving. We don't wanna go here with the back. So once you've taken it forward a little bit, you can lean your upper body forward and bend this knee a little bit more. So if I reach my arm down by my side here, I've got my rib cage in line in the center of my hip and my leg, all right? So if I were to hang my arm down here, it's just going vertical, but notice my back, I'm not arching my back like that. So you wanna keep that nice diagonal line here. Okay, so here, to change the muscle fibers, I'm gonna reach my arm up. So my right arm is up, and then I'm gonna do a side bend. So feel how that really intensifies, right? That stretch, but it also gives you a stretch through your whole lateral line of fascia, super important here. Now I'm gonna add a rotation. So my upper body, I'm gonna reach my chest up towards the ceiling and turn. And again, that changes things a little bit, okay? Ooh, I really feel that. And bring it back to center, and then back we go. And we're gonna do the other leg, and then we'll be all done, okay? So I'm just gonna turn this way. So I'm reaching with my left leg. My right leg is, oops, I already did that leg, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna start with just stacking my bones here. My knee, my hip, my rib cage. my shoulders and my head, okay? And I'm shimmying my leg out a little bit. I'm about hip width apart here, okay? And I'm just gonna bend this knee and find that hip extension, okay? So I'm keeping my body straight up and down, right, first. So my body, so if I just hang my arm down, it's just going down towards the floor, right? And I'm making sure that I'm not leaning back here, just getting that hip extension, right? So if we're looking at this joint, you see how my leg bone is going back, right? That's hip extension. This is neutral. This is hip flexion with that hip, okay? So we want to get into that extended position first. Engaging the glutes will help with that. Now that I'm at that 15 degrees with my leg, I'm going to lean my body forward and bend this knee more, just to get deeper into those fibers, okay, of the fascia and the muscles, right? Because they all intermingle with each other. A nice big inhale here. Then I'm going to reach my left arm up towards the ceiling and take that into a side bend. Ooh. Yeah. I really feel that when I reach my arm up here. Big inhale. Now I'm going to turn and open my chest to the ceiling. So adding a little bit of spiral line to that. Really feeling all the fibers through my hip joint here. And take one more big inhale. And then rotate back to center, and then I'm gonna bring it up. Woo! Shaking those hips out a little bit. Okay, so that's it for today. That's your balance your hips workout. You can do some of those exercises. You can do all of them. Anyway, hope that helped. Have a great day.